The sun sat high over the small city, making the sidewalk glare like it was made of glass. Heat rose off the pavement in waves, wrapping everything in a sticky haze. In front of the police station, the flag on the pole snapped lazily in the slow breeze, while a patrol car idled at the curb, its hood streaked with dust and bug splatters. Daniel Cruz walked slowly past the station, head down, a crumpled brown paper bag clutched carefully in both hands. Sweat darkened the collar and underarms of his faded, hole-speckled shirt. His jeans were stained with dust and dried mud, and the rubber soles of his cheap slippers slapped softly against the concrete with every step. To anyone driving by, he looked like just another broke guy wandering downtown, maybe homeless, maybe out of work, maybe trouble. Inside the paper bag was a still warm box of pan de sal and a container of chicken adobo wrapped in foil. He had picked it up from a Filipino bakery across town, the one his mother liked. Every Friday, no matter how busy he was, Daniel made time to bring her food before she went in for her dialysis session. She always said the taste of home made the needles easier. He glanced up at the station doors and saw two officers standing outside, leaning against the cruiser. Both were white, one in his early 30s with a boyish face and pale hair, the other older, maybe late 40s, with deeply set lines around his mouth. They were talking and laughing, coffee cups in their hands, their badges catching the sun. Daniel considered crossing the street to avoid walking directly in front of them. He knew how this sometimes went. But the crosswalk was further down, and he was already running late. His mom's appointment was in less than an hour. He took a breath, lowered his head again, and kept going. Hey, look at this," the younger officer said, elbowing his partner as Daniel drew closer. "Straight out of a charity poster." The older one chuckled. "You lose a fight with a washing machine, buddy?" he called out. Daniel's steps faltered, but he kept moving, focusing on the bag in his hands. He had learned over years of little cuts that sometimes silence was safer than answering back. The younger officer stepped forward, blocking his path. Whoa, where are you headed in such a hurry, man?" he asked, tone playful but sharp under the surface. "You walking or drifting?" Daniel shifted his weight, eyes flickering up only for a second. "Just passing by, sir," he said quietly. His accent rounded his vowels, a soft trace of the Philippines still clinging to his words no matter how many years he'd lived in the U.S. "I need to get to the bus stop." The older cop, whose name tag read Harrison, let out a loud laugh. "Bus stop? What bus is going to let you on dressed like that? You look like you crawled out of a dumpster behind the 7-Eleven. The younger officer, Mills, grinned. "Hey, maybe he did. You carrying anything you shouldn't be, buddy?" He pointed at the bag. "What's in there?" Daniel tightened his grip on the bag. "Food. For my mom." Mills tilted his head, pretending to sniff the air. "Smells like evidence to me. Why don't you show us, just to be sure you're not carrying anything illegal?" Harrison laughed louder now, the kind of laugh meant to show off. A couple of people walking on the other side of the street slowed their pace, sensing something unfolding. A teen near the corner took out his phone and, almost absent-mindedly, started recording. "It's just food," Daniel repeated. His heart thudded faster. Encounters like this rarely ended well when you pushed back, but he also didn't like the idea of them poking through food meant for his mother. "I need to go. I'm gonna be late." Harrison stepped in closer, his shadow falling over Daniel. "Listen, pal, when police ask you a question, you don't decide if you're late," he said. "You cooperate. Got it?" Daniel swallowed. The sound of cars passing in the distance seemed to recede. All he could hear was his own pulse in his ears. "I'm not doing anything wrong, sir," he said. Mills rolled his eyes dramatically, then turned toward the station, raising his voice. "Hey, Sarge, check this out," he called, though no sergeant came out. It was just part of the performance now. He pointed at Daniel with his coffee cup. "Look at this guy. You see the city's really investing in fashion this year." Harrison barked a laugh and pointed too, bending over as if he'd just heard the funniest joke of his life. "Man, Did Goodwill kick you out or something? You even own a mirror?" Daniel felt his cheeks burn. He stared down at his sandals, at the dust outlining each toe. He'd come straight from one of the properties his company was renovating, a row of old duplexes he was turning into low-cost rentals. He liked to visit construction sites himself, and he wore the same stained, comfortable clothes he worn back when he was just another worker hauling lumber, not the owner signing checks. There hadn't been time to go home and change before heading to the bakery. His mother's texts had come in, full of little heart emojis and reminders to drive safe. He thought of her now, waiting for him, probably looking out the window every few minutes to see if he had arrived yet. Mills suddenly plucked at the sleeve of Daniel's shirt, lifting it between two fingers. "Man, feel this," he said to Harrison. "You think this thing ever met a washing machine?" More snickering, more pointing. The younger officer looked pleased with himself, feeding off the attention and the image of power. Harrison wiped imaginary tears from his eyes. "This area's had a lot of break-ins lately. We can't have sketchy guys loitering around the station. Makes us look bad. You got ID, or are you just drifting through life?" Daniel's shoulders slumped. "My wallet is in my car. I only brought this." He held up the bag slightly. Mills smirked. "Car, huh? What kind? Shopping cart?" he said. A few snickers came from the sidewalk across the street. Someone muttered, "Man, that's messed up," but kept their distance. Harrison stepped closer, close enough that Daniel could see the tiny nicks on his razor-smooth chin. "Where's this car of yours? Because if you're lying, we can find out real fast. And if you're trespassing or loitering, we can make that a problem." Daniel hesitated, weighing his options. He had done nothing wrong, but he could feel the situation pressing in on him, two uniforms and their laughter turning the air thick. If he walked away now, they might grab him. If he argued, it could escalate. Part of him, a younger, rawer part, wanted to snap back, to say something sharp that would cut through their smugness. But another part, the one shaped by years of swallowing comments and choosing his battles, whispered something else. Just get through this. Just get to Mom. "It's around the corner," he said finally, voice low. "Down by the meter." Mills exchanged a quick, amused glance with Harrison. "Oh yeah?" he said. "Let's go see this car. I could use a laugh." He gestured theatrically toward the side street. "Lead the way, sir." Daniel turned and started walking, the paper bag still held carefully, shoulders hunched. The two officers fell into step a few paces behind him, talking under their breath, occasionally letting out little bursts of laughter that pricked at his back.
Before we continue the story, let me know what country you're watching from. Hit the like button if you love this story, and please subscribe if you are new to my channel. Let's continue. As they rounded the corner, the side street opened up, lined with parked cars under a row of spindly trees struggling against the heat. Halfway down, tucked neatly between an old pickup and a dented compact sedan, sat a low, gleaming shape, a charcoal gray Aston Martin, its paint so polished it seemed to drink in the sunlight and throw it back in a soft metallic glow. Daniel paused next to it, reached into his pocket, and pulled out a key fob. He pressed the button, the car chirped once, and the mirrors unfolded smoothly, sleek and mechanical. The headlights gave a brief, elegant wink. For a moment, nobody spoke. Mills stared, mouth slightly open. "Wait," he said. This is your car?" Daniel nodded, not looking at them, just focusing on the door handle as he opened it. "Yes, sir." Harrison took a step closer, his laughter gone, eyes scanning the license plate, the registration sticker, the immaculate interior visible through the open door. The smell of leather drifted out into the hot air. You rent this?" Mills asked, his voice thinner now. "Some kind of weekend special?" Daniel finally looked up. His gaze was calm, but there was something hard underneath, something that had been ignored and stepped on one too many times. "No," he said. "I own it." "Oh, own it?" Mills stammered. Daniel set the paper bag carefully on the passenger seat and reached into the glove compartment. He pulled out his wallet, flipped it open, and held out his driver's license, followed by a second card, this one glossy with a corporate logo. Harrison took them, turning them over with a growing frown. The name on both read, Daniel Cruz. The license listed an address in an upscale gated community on the hill. The card, with its minimalist design, read Cruz Development Group, founder and CEO. Harrison's eyebrows shot up. "You're the guy building those affordable housing units on the east side?" he asked, recognition kicking in. "The mayor was talking about you at that press thing last month." Daniel gave a small nod. "Yes." Mills swallowed, color rising in his cheeks. "Look, we were just joking around, man. Just busting chops. We do that with everyone." Daniel studied him for a long moment. He could see the panic starting to creep in now, the realization of who they had just humiliated sinking in like a stone. He could also see, in the far corner of his vision, the teen from the sidewalk who had followed, still recording from across the street. "No," Daniel said quietly. "You don't do that with everyone." Harrison cleared his throat. "Mr. Cruz?" he began, trying to smooth his tone into something professional. "If we came off as disrespectful, we apologize. We have to be cautious in this area. There's been complaints, and you understand how it is. You're dressed, well..." He trailed off, unable to find a way to finish the sentence that didn't sound bad. "I was at one of my sites," Daniel said, "working with my crew. Sometimes I like to get my hands dirty. I came straight from there to buy food for my mother before her dialysis. I didn't think I needed to pass some kind of fashion test to walk down the street." Mills opened his mouth, then shut it again. The embarrassment on his face had shifted into something like fear. He glanced toward the station, where a couple of figures now stood watching from the doorway, curiosity written on their faces. Daniel looked between the two officers, his heartbeat steady now. There was anger in him, yes, but also a tiredness that went deeper than this one incident. Years of jokes about his accent, assumptions about his job, double takes when he handed over his credit card. "Do you know why I build housing?" he asked softly.
Harrison frowned. I've read the articles. You're trying to help low-income families. I grew up in a house with a leaking roof and walls so thin we could hear the neighbors argue every night, Daniel said. We got evicted twice when I was a kid. I know what it's like when people look at you and decide you must be trouble just because you look poor. He gestured at his clothes. Sometimes I still dress like this because it reminds me where I came from, because I never want to start thinking I'm better than the people I'm trying to help. He let that hang in the air. Mills shifted from foot to foot, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead. "Look, man, if you could just not make a big deal out of this," he said. "We were wrong, okay? We're saying sorry." Daniel considered them. He thought of all the times someone like him hadn't been believed, hadn't been filmed, hadn't had the shield of a luxury car and a business card loaded with status. He thought of his mother, who still flinched a little when she saw flashing lights in her rearview mirror because of the way an officer once made her empty her purse on the hood of her car in the rain. "I don't need you to be scared of losing your jobs," he said quietly. "I need you to learn not to treat people the way you just treated me, no matter what they're wearing." Harrison let out a slow breath. "I understand," he said, though his voice betrayed that he was only beginning to. "The cameras understand too," Daniel added, glancing toward the teen across the street. "And your own body cams." Both officers stiffened slightly, remembering too late that their chests were already recording. Daniel closed the car door gently. "I'll be filing a complaint," he said, "not because I want revenge, because the next man you laugh at might not have a car like this or a title that makes you panic. But he'll still deserve respect." Harrison looked like he wanted to argue, but all he managed was a quiet, "Yes, sir." Daniel slipped into the driver's seat, started the engine with a low, smooth purr, and rolled down the window. He looked at them one last time, his eyes clear. "We all come from somewhere. Try to remember that next time before you decide who someone is." He pulled away from the curb, the luxury car gliding down the street with effortless grace. Behind him, Mills and Harrison stood in the shrinking patch of shade next to the station, their earlier laughter nowhere to be found. The teen lowered his phone and shook his head before turning away. At the next light, Daniel checked the time. He would still make it to his mother's appointment if he didn't hit traffic. He pictured her smile when he handed over the warm bread and the adobo, the way her eyes always shone with pride when she asked about his projects. As he drove, the station disappeared in his rearview mirror, two small blue figures shrinking into the heat haze. Daniel focused on the road ahead, the city spreading out before him, its cracked sidewalks, its half-finished buildings, its endless potential. For every person who saw only old clothes and brown skin, there were others who saw something different. And no matter how many times he had to prove it, he knew who he was. He turned up the radio, let the familiar rhythm of a Filipino song fill the car, and kept driving.
Thank you for watching to our Badge and Justice stories. If you want to watch more stories like this, click the videos above. See you again tomorrow.